When are bridge payments going to hit your bank account? What in the world is Trump talking about with year-round E15? Is that a real thing? Can it really happen? And why the heck is Governor Mike Kehoe wearing a hairnet? Those answers and more today on The Farm Show here on Westplex Talk 1045. I'm your host, John Combest. Today we'll be talking about all those issues. We'll be talking also about a local beef event coming up. We'll have a little bit of coverage of last week's Missouri cattle industry meeting. We'll talk about what's going on with the Missouri Corn Growers Association, their events this week. And then in B block and C block, that's what we call our second and third segments, we're going to hear from the Deputy Secretary of USDA. He was speaking to an ag law group. Folks from the Arkansas Division of Agriculture recorded it, put it on their YouTube. It's more than an hour long. Nobody's got time to listen to all that. So I pulled a few select highlights of the most interesting topics, including right to repair, including some of those glyphosate lawsuits, and also fertilizer, foreign-owned farmland as well. That's again coming up in the second and third segments of our show. But first, let's get into that local beef event. We mentioned it last week, and we'll mention it again today. The Jefferson County Cattlemen's Association is having an event on February 28th. It's the annual dinner and auction. Where? Hillsborough Knights of Columbus building, upstairs. That address is 9330 Old Missouri 21 in Hillsborough. The doors open at 4 p.m. Dinner starts at 5 p.m. All supporters and guests are welcome. There is no fee to attend. Tea and water are provided, and there is a full cash bar service available. Cash and checks only at that cash bar. The event is sponsored by the Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance Agency, the Girardi Agency, to be exact. Again, that's the Jefferson County Cattlemen's Association annual dinner and auction, February 28th. If you want more information, I would suggest you check out the Jefferson County Cattlemen on Facebook. On last week's show, we mentioned the Missouri Cattle Industry Meeting that took place last week, and I promised that we'd have a little bit of media coverage, some media highlights from that event, and the good folks at Brownfield did not disappoint. You can find all of their stories by going to brownfieldagnews.com. I want to highlight one with the new Missouri Cattlemen's Association president, Anita Vanderwert. Megan Grebner brings us this piece on behalf of Brownfield. Megan writes, the new president of the Missouri Cattlemen's Association said the organization is working to ensure producers are well equipped to navigate the industry's ups and downs. Anita Vanderwert says staying informed on issues is critical for the future of the industry. Anita says, we started councils for private property rights like eminent domain. We know that's a huge issue in our state, and that's an area we're going to focus on this coming year. Megan continues, she, being Anita, tells Brownfield the group has also worked with other commodity organizations in the state to address tax and credit issues. Anita says, we got rid of capital gains tax in our state. So if you want to transition to the next generation, you can go ahead and sell that farm while you're still alive and not have to worry about being dead before you can start that transition process and still hold their hands and be able to help them guide the way the first few years. Megan goes on to write, Vanderwert says it's also important that the association remains focused on retaining interest from younger members. Anita says, we have built up so many barriers, and most of them are financial, that we can't get young people to just jump into our industry. Those who are there, we better be protecting them and encouraging them and empowering them to really make a difference and to join us. Anita and her husband, Megan writes, raise cattle in central Missouri. If you want to hear the full interview that Megan did with Anita Vanderwert, the new executive director the new president of the Missouri Cattlemen's Association. You can go to brownfieldagnews.com. You'll also see some fascinating interviews with folks like Mike Deering from the Missouri Cattlemen's Association, among many others. Some great coverage from Megan Grebner. And that's right here in Missouri. But what about north of us in Iowa? President Trump was in Iowa this week, and he made what I think everyone would consider big news, talking about year-round E15, and he seemed to suggest that it was definitely on the way. Let's hear what President Trump had to say this week in Iowa.
But I've made new fair trade deals with countries covering half of all U.S. trade, scoring giant wins for the farmers, ranchers, and agricultural producers like no other president has ever done. That's why I got such a tremendous vote from the farmers, and I love you too. I do love you too. So Japan will now allow the United States to supply up to 100% of automotive ethanol, and import large amounts of aviation biofuels from the United States. That's great for you. That was part of the deal that we made. The United Kingdom will import nearly $1 billion of ethanol. That's part of their deal. Australia is allowing American beef into its market for the first time in more than 20 years. Did you know that? And beef is doing great, and we got to get the prices down a little bit, and they're starting to come down pretty much. China has agreed to purchase over $40 billion of U.S.-grown soybeans. You know that. You're selling them. They're selling them. And I went to President Xi, and he's upping it. I mean, it's $40 billion. The European Union will dramatically increase purchases of American pork, dairy, and soybean oil. They never did that before. They're all doing things that they never did before because you have a certain president that's a little bit different from the presidents that you had before. And nations from Cambodia to Thailand to the Philippines and Indonesia are eliminating all trade barriers to agricultural products. Your agricultural products had trade barriers that didn't allow them to be sold in countries that are now saying, oh, please, we'd love to accept your product. So that's great. You're going to see it starting to kick in now for the farmers. And to further help our farmers recover from really a catastrophe of the Biden years, what a period of years that we had. We had a country that was just dead. We had a country that was just not respected by anybody. We had a guy who didn't know where the hell he was. Do you think he worried about his farmer at night? No. He just wanted to go to sleep. This is what we had. This is what we had in our fake election. We recently issued $12 billion in farm relief. We gave them because you were screwed by other countries. I said, how much is the number? To our great Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins. He's doing a great job. I said, Brooke, what's the number? And she said, $12 billion. And I wrote a check for $12 billion because we have so much money from the tariffs coming in. So you couldn't have done that before. We're a rich country now. I hope we win that Supreme Court case. You know, we have people that are China-oriented. They're people from literally that very China-oriented and foreign country-oriented trying to stop that. But we'll get it done one way or the other. We're going to do it. If we have to do it a different way, we'll do it. But we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. We're doing amazing. Nobody can even believe it. Foreign countries cannot believe what's happened. They're studying us, but it won't work. But I'm also working hard to expand your markets domestically. And in the campaign, I promise to support E15 all year round. Yes? Should I do it, Kaufman? Should I do it? I did. I promised E15 all year round if I get elected. And I want to let you know, and we'll start right now. I was going to put out a statement a week ago. I said, hold it. I'm coming to Iowa to make a speech. I'm not going to put out a truth. I want to be there in person to tell them, the people of Iowa, to know that I am trusting Speaker Mike Johnson, who's great, and Leader John Thune, who's great. That's House and Senate. To find a deal that works, we've got it. For farmers, consumers, and refiners, including small and mid-sized refiners. In other words, to get E15 approved, and they're working on it. They're very close to getting it done. So I just wanted to let you know that.
As you can tell from the end of that clip, President Trump got huge applause in Iowa, making those promises about E15. But here in Missouri, one of our corn leaders says, hold your horses for just a minute. Kara Hart of Brownfield had a conversation with Brad Schad, the president of the Missouri Corn Growers Association, the CEO of the Missouri Corn Growers Association. Kara writes, the CEO of the Missouri Corn Growers Association says it's good to see President Trump is ready to sign legislation allowing the sales of E15 all year nationwide. But Bradley Schad tells Brownfield, quote, it's not over until it's over. We don't want anything added to the package that's out there that would be harmful to us, so we'll be monitoring that. Kara writes, House Republicans have established an E15 Rural Domestic Energy Council to study E15 and draft language. And Schad says, quote, we hope this process will go through in a quick time frame, and by February 25th, if not before, we'll have the outcome of what we agreed to in December. Hara notes that Missouri Congressman Mark Alford, he's from the western part of the state, is on the council, and Brad Schad says that the number of lawmakers says the group of lawmakers was expected to meet again on Thursday. Kara published this piece on Wednesday. Kara notes that these comments were taken from Brad at the Missouri Corn Growers annual meeting in mid-Missouri. And as you recall from our show last week, this week the Missouri Corn Growers Association got together for their annual meeting and also their annual lobby day. While the corn growers were getting together, they took a little bit of time to celebrate some of their partners, some of the leaders in their organization. Missouri Corn writes, corn farmers, industry representatives, and guests from across the state gathered in Jefferson City, Missouri yesterday. That would have been Wednesday for the Missouri Corn Growers Association annual meeting and legislative day. The corn growers write, the morning kicked off at the Capitol Plaza Hotel with Missouri Corn Growers Association's annual meeting, where Governor Mike Kehoe provided the keynote address. Members also reviewed financials, heard from industry leaders, and received economic insights from Ben Brown, a senior research associate with the Food and Agricultural Policy Research Institute, also known as FAPRI. And as John's note here, there are two Ben Browns you need to know. One of them is with FAPRI, and one of them, of course, is our state senator from Franklin County. But I digress. Back to the Missouri Corn Grower statement. Recognizing the current challenges facing the industry, Brown highlighted projections for the next year, corn market fundamentals, the importance of flexibility, and potential areas for market growth. Members also elected 4 board members, Ryan Meyerkorth of Rockport in District 1, representing Northwest Missouri, Mark Kaiser to represent North Central Missouri growers in District 2, Brian Lehman of Versailles to represent District 5 in Central Missouri, and Patrick Sayer of Sikeston to represent District 7 in the Southeast region. Following the annual meeting and luncheon, growers visited the state capitol to discuss the importance of Missouri's corn and ethanol industries with legislators and their economic impact on the state. MCGA President Brian Lehman said, quote, opening the door to conversations now makes a big difference when issues impacting agriculture cross elected officials' desks in the future. The farmer voice matters, and MCGA stands ready to amplify that voice in Jefferson City and D.C. Working together, we can make a difference for Missouri agriculture. MCGA says members also took the opportunity to honor industry supporters for their contributions to the state's corn and ethanol industries. Award recipients included 2 Count them, 2 state legislators from the southeast part of the state. The Friend of Corn Growers Award. One went to State Representative Cameron Bunting Parker of Campbell. You will remember that we hosted Representative Parker right here on the Farm Show to discuss her water bill. And if you're looking for that episode, you can look up Farm Show Radio on YouTube and listen to that interview. The Friend of Corn Growers Award, the second award, also went to a member of the Missouri Boot Heel Mafia, so to speak, that's State Senator Jamie Berger of Benton. And a couple more awards to mention here. The Outstanding Partner Award went to Brian West of West Energy and Environmental Associates. The President's Award went to Brent Hare of Palmyra. You might have seen Brent in a fantastic commercial featuring Fred Bird of the St. Louis Cardinals. And the Honorary Lifetime Award went to Matt Lambert of Laclede. And MCGA reminds everyone they are a membership organization of farmers dedicated to growing and defending the corn industry. MCGA works in the best interest of farmers on key agricultural issues and fights for pro-agriculture, pro-corn legislation. And if you want to learn more, go to mocorn.org. That's mocorn.org. Before we go to break, I mentioned earlier, what the heck is the deal with Mike Kehoe and a hairnet? Well, KRCG Television in Jeff City has the answer. Tony Mullen from KRCG writes, Governor Mike Kehoe was among the dozens who donned hairnets Thursday morning for the Missouri Farmers Care Drive to feed kids. First Lady Claudia Kehoe and several state legislators were among the volunteers who packed around 15,000 meals inside the Capitol. Each kit contained rice and dried vegetables to make chicken-flavored vegetable soup. All of the meals packed on Thursday will go to the Food Bank of Central and Northeast Missouri. Lindsay Young Lopez is the president and CEO of the Food Bank for Central and Northeast Missouri. She says the need is real and it is prevalent. To be in this historic spot, to have legislators, the governor, and the First Lady here all coming together to support this mission is just incredible. According to Missouri Farmers Care, as many as 1 in 6 people in rural Missouri face food insecurity. Among children, that number is as high as 1 in 3. If you want to see the story, you can go to krcgtv.com. When we come back, bridge payments and so much more.